Hoops, from a player's perspective, given you the most recent to actually take the field, how big a risk is that to sign with something that doesn't have the money but is saying if you sign, your profile will help us get the money?
It depends where you are. It's all contextual to the player.
How do you mean?
Well, if I'm contracted to Rugby Australia for an X period of time, how can I sign something else? Because they're not going to want to release me. So we've got people here who know the details of contracts better than most, and I think, it becomes really, they won't let you go. So how can I sign it? So that becomes a very real risk because it pisses off your actual employer. And then is the money even real? And then, I think, I heard that the international window, they would allow you to play.
There's going to be a clash with the Rugby Championship.
There is?
Yep.
Okay, so, that's going to be a tough sell for...
Yeah, so Wallaby would have to go, I'm giving up my test jersey.
So the proposed dates would be, I think it was April to June, and then it would break, and then it'd come back in August to October, September.
So say this Rebel comp want to... And, by the way, more money for players, I love it. don't get me wrong. But, look, it's a hard one to put yourself in that position. They're not going to be able to get the best players because they're contracted right now. They've got to be players coming out of contract. They've got to be players at the end of their career or right at the beginning. Is that right, do you think?
Yeah, you're spot on. I think timing and funding are the two big rocks. You talk about proposal. The timing and mechanics of it can be finessed, right? And where's the risk? Where's your leverage? What does it need to stand up? It needs marquee players. So if marquee players are currently engaged in employment contracts with their employer, which are binding by common law, then how can you make that work? The success with IPL is because they made it work around the national programs and around the domestic professional programs.
No Test player or ODI player misses the chance to represent Australia and New Zealand while playing in the IPL.
There's your precedent.
Yep.
Just because it hasn't worked before in rugby doesn't mean it can't work now. We've been professional enough to know what we're getting wrong and right. We know that commercialising the game is wrong at the moment, and Hoops is spot on as well. The more revenue for players, particularly who the game asks a lot of players, and the more that they can monetise that experience and that skill set, absolutely go for it. Don't forget also coaches, support staff, marketing jobs, the ecosystem and the sport, business of sport. That's a great opportunity for much more than just the perception that players are going to be mercenary and go and do a cash grab. What they're doing is providing an opportunity for a sporting ecosystem to be created and for lots of community to enjoy it, lots of people to celebrate this thing called sport, and let's not forget about that as well. So timing and funding, and these are not immovable rocks. Anyone who's been in any negotiation in their life that's involved money, it just involves getting to the number. So they'll get to the number probably, and then they need to get the timing. I think is the bigger rock, Hoops. I reckon to keep the sanctity of Test rugby a lot, because that's important for the domestic community, right? Our Test rugby program funds our community. Our rugby community, boys and girls that are playing rugby on the weekend, are funded by the national program. We need to have that protected.
If I recall correctly, back in your playing days, probably early playing days, mid-90s, there was a rebel movement.
Well, it's the whole reason Super Rugby is here, and Fox was created. World Rebel Rugby was the thing that was happening. We had signed contracts because they were the only contracts given to us at the time. 180 players from Australia had signed. I met George Gregan in a cafe in Canberra, signed my little contract, and then Springboks negotiated to cross the floor and sign as the current world champions with Fox and News Limited. So then after that, everyone else went across the other side.
So were you offered money at that point?
Yep.
So there was money behind it there?
Yep.
So I feel like this is the big sticking point in this latest rebel movement. And for all genuine intentions they may have or confidence they may have in their business strategy, that's a big... like when Super League arose in Rugby League, they were offering big money for players to sign. Live Golf had big money backing it for players to come away from the PGAs. If they don't have money, I think their Buckleys of really convincing anyone of great profile to join this Rebel League.
And why would I watch it as a fan? I think that's a big point you got to ask in terms of the game. Like, you watch Australia because I'm Australian and I want to see the Wallabies win. And that's why World Cup is the third biggest event in the world, because it's patriotic. I go down and I support Manly. My dad played for Manly. So does a Rebel League have that type of thing, which is what rugby's built on, is the community element? I don't know. That would be my challenge to it is, okay, I know Severis was talked about, Richie Mo'unga, Belly, these guys, some of these, players are playing and they're going to be in this team. Am I going to watch it? At 3 o'clock in the morning in Brazil against, for a team called I don't know what the team would be called. I don't know if I would. We've got to remember, Sevens just, is pretty much this style, Grand Prix style. And what did they lose last year? I heard some big figure.
30.
Yep.
30.
I think.
And have revamped it so that they've cut it to 12 teams and 8 teams.
That's the point. Tribalism, right?
Yeah, that's why, and that is patriotic. We are supporting Australia there. We are supporting New Zealand and all the rest of it. So, you go down to a Manly Warringah game and that thing you can't get in. And I know there's elements of that across the world. I'm interested why does a Rebel League? I think everyone would have their own opinion. Why would a Rebel League try and pop up, and why would this crew try and do it, and not just try and pump money into, an existing model, or how do you make, do the EPL teams, the Premier Football League teams, make money? I don't know.
Half of them do.
Half of them do.
Yep.
Could you get a Wasps? Could you pump money back into a Wasps? Could you pump money back into a London Irish? Could that be an EPL? If that's what they were going for, I don't know.